Hello and welcome to Jerusalem. My name is Ofer. I'm the unemployed tour guide thanks to Corona. So I've decided to show you guys back home wherever you may be, show you around my city of Jerusalem, and let's see where it takes us. Today we're going to walk from the Lion's Gate, which is right here behind me. And we're going to walk through the old city of Jerusalem, and we will walk all the way to the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. In your comments, you can, of course, leave me comments. That's what they're for. And also give me ideas where you want me to travel. Ask any questions. I am a licensed tour guide here in Jerusalem. And I learned this stuff, and I love the city. So anything you want to know about the city, be it religious, cultural, historic, political, anything you can ask me, I'll be more than glad to answer you. And then hopefully once Corona is over, we'll be glad to physically welcome you here back in my beloved city of Jerusalem. Before we get started, I'm standing here in front of a map of the old city of Jerusalem. The old city of Jerusalem is what is surrounded by this city wall. It's about 500 years old, built by the Ottomans, who later became the Turks. The Ottoman Empire ruled what is today the area of Israel and pretty much the entire Middle East for a whole 400 years. And of course, they also ruled Jerusalem. And as I said, they built these city walls that are here behind me. In these city walls, we have 8 gates that lead into the city, 7 of which are open. And one of these open gates is, of course, the Lion's Gate, which we will talk about in just a second. But as I was just starting to talk to you about this map, let's take a look at it. So we see that the old city of Jerusalem is more or less, let's say, a square. It has an area of about 0.6 square miles for you Americans, or about 1 square kilometers for the rest of the world. And we can see, or before we see that, the old city of Jerusalem is, of course, divided into the 4 quarters of the city. So we do have, let's see how we can do this. Yeah, we do have the Muslim quarter of the old city, which is the biggest quarter. And then we have the Christian quarter over here, the Armenian quarter, which is the smallest quarter, and then the Jewish quarter over here in the southeast of the city. Mind you, and pay attention, that we have this area over here. This is a huge chunk of the old city, and this is the Temple Mount. Now, of course, every last little problem, or not so little problem, that we have in Jerusalem, be it historical, political, it all is connected, of course, to the Temple Mount, because on the Temple Mount, according to Jewish belief and according to Jewish tradition, there stood the Jewish temple. Where God's presence on earth was located, the so-called Shekhinah was located here. And then in the 7th century, the Muslims built, of course, their Dome of the Rock, the beautiful structure with the golden dome on top of it, which is over here. And also they built in that same time period the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is also a beautiful building, which is today the 3rd holiest mosque in all of Islam. And of course, we can immediately understand that the 3rd holiest mosque in Islam is located in Israel, which is today, of course, a Jewish country. And obviously that leads to all sorts of problems, but that makes it so interesting to be a guide in Jerusalem. We have a total of about 35,000 people living in the old city. So as I said before, 1 square kilometer. So that makes it pretty or quite densely populated area. Folks, behind me we have the Lion's Gate, right? One of the 8 gates that lead into the old city. In 1967, there was a war here called the 6-Day War. And in the 6-Day War, or during the 6-Day War, the Israeli army entered or conquered the old city of Jerusalem through this Lion's Gate, which is right here behind me. We are today, we are right now in what is today called East Jerusalem. This is the Arab part of Jerusalem, which, just as I mentioned right now, was part of Jordan until 1967. You can see behind me over here This is the entrance, or one of the 12 entrance gates to the Temple Mount. Now, the Temple Mount, as I said before, is extremely important to Muslims, and it is also important to Jews. The Jews said that this is where their temple stood. The Jews say that the rock that is located underneath the dome of the rock is the place where Abraham tried to sacrifice his son. And for the Muslims, of course, the same rock is the site from which Muhammad ascended to heaven during his night journey. So we have at least two different versions of what happened on this site. And this, of course, is one of the origins of the issues that we have here in Jerusalem, a city which is, of course, holy to all three monotheistic religions. And it's not a few times, or more than just a few times, when people fight over the city. We will start walking through the main alleys of the old city. We will pass some sites, which I will talk to you about. The idea is to eventually end up at the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. We mentioned before that the old city of Jerusalem is divided into 4 quarters. We are right now in the Muslim quarter. And even though this is the Muslim quarter, you will soon see that there's a whole bunch of Christian sites here in the Muslim quarter as well. The reason for that, of course, is that before the division was made into the quarters, these Christian sites already existed here. Now, even though these are very narrow alleyways, cars are still allowed to drive through here, and you can see there's a traffic jam here. And it's so narrow that even I cannot pass through these cars. What a mess! Big mess. Let's see how we can pass this traffic jam. Of course, honking the horn does not help. Let's see, we're making a little bit of headway here. But you can see there's so little space between the cars, I cannot even fit through it. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope that they move soon. And you can go, lady. Go, 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 go. Make space for Uncle Ofer. Go ahead. I literally, seriously cannot pass between these cars. Yalla, that's exactly what I wanted to say. All right, I try not to risk my life. All right, we're good to go. Wonderful. No reason why these guys are parking here. What is this? This is good. There's some Arabic sweets being sold here. What I see is peanuts, and it looks like some dough. I have no idea what it is, but must be something sweet. And this is what is so nice about Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, of course, you have all sorts of different cultures and all sorts of different nationalities, which means that you can delve into all sorts of different adventures here. I have just entered quickly into the compound of the Santa Anna Church. This is behind me. We're not going to go in, but just here behind me, behind these trees, is of course one of only 3 Crusader churches that has remained here in this country. All of the other Crusader churches have been destroyed by the Muslims who came and kicked the Crusaders out of this country. So what is this? What is the importance of the Santa Anna Church? The Santa Anna Church is built over the site where Mary was born and where Anna and Joachim used to live, who were of course the parents of Mary, who was of course the mother of Jesus. More importantly, all the way back there, I hope you can see it, are excavations of 2 very deep pools. And these are said to be traditionally the pools of Bethesda, where Jesus, 2,000 years ago, approximately 2,000 years ago, performed one of his 2 miracles here in Jerusalem. The miracle that he performed here was, of course, that he healed a lame man who was, lame. He was not able to move for 38 years, and Jesus came and he healed him. Okay, so this is the Church of Santa Anna, which is, by the way, is run and managed by the White Fathers, which is a Catholic order. They're called White Fathers because the priests, or the monks, let's call them, are wearing white robes. And they're mostly active in Africa, and I think outside of Africa, this is the only site that they manage here, the Santa Anna Church in Jerusalem. Okay, so just to recap and to remind you, the Santa Anna compound, we have one of only 3 standing churches from the Crusader period, and the Crusaders, of course, were here beginning in the 11th or very late 11th century, and they eventually were kicked out by the Muslims who came and invaded this country and took it over. Just like everybody else, everybody comes and conquers the this land bridge, let's call it, the land bridge which connects north and south and east and west, which connects Africa and Asia and Europe. And that, of course, is the main basic reason why this area is so contested from a geographical and or from a strategic point of view. It is super important to control this area, because if you do so, if you control it, you control the entire fortunes of the Middle East. We keep on walking through the alleys of the Muslim quarter. You can see beautiful buildings here. All of these buildings are about 250, 300 years old. They're from the Ottoman time period, from the Turkish time period. Let's not forget, archaeologically, underneath us, some, let's say 10 feet or 3.5 meters underneath us, if we were to dig, we would be able to see the level, or the strata as it's called, of the Roman time period. And pretty much under every square inch, square centimeter of Jerusalem, if you dig deep enough, you will find something that is very, very old. Let's turn into this little secret alley here. You see, this is King Feisal Street. And on my tours, I like to take people a little bit off the beaten path, because this is at the back here, right here at the back, is one of the 12 entrances to the Temple Mount. And my hope is that we will be able to catch a little bit of a glimpse of the Dome of the Rock. By the way, here is a beautiful public building from the Mameluke period. The Mamelukes were here in the 13th century, and you can see the beautiful red, white stones. This is called ablak. These benches, and this kind of stalactites, I call them. This kind of decoration. This is all, and also these, I call them puzzle pieces. This is all very, very typical of the Mameluke architecture. And the Mamelukes were here for about 200 years, and they were replaced or kicked out of here by the Ottoman Turks. All right, we're nearing the entrance to the Temple Mount. Shalom. אני לא נכנס, אני רק מצלם מכאן אם זה בסדר. Okay. Okay, so we have a friendly Israeli policeman here. I don't know, is it possible to see it? All the way in the back. I don't know if if you can see it in the camera. Can I zoom in? I cannot zoom in. But all the way back there, you can make out the Dome of the Rock. And of course, we have Israeli policemen here, or not of course, but it is a fact. We have Israeli policemen here, and they sometimes, not always, check the people that go into the Temple Mount. By the way, if you're a tourist coming to Jerusalem, a non-Muslim tourist, wanting to go up to the Temple Mount, it is possible, but not through here and not through any gate except for the Mughrabi gate, which is close to the Western Wall Plaza. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you're in Jerusalem and you want to visit the Temple Mount, You, as a tourist, as a non-Muslim tourist, you can only do so at certain times, mostly in the morning until noontime, and you have to enter through the Mughrabi gate, which is right next to the Western Wall Plaza. Other than that, if you're a Muslim, you can enter through the other gates. It is for security purposes that Israeli police are checking or guarding the entrance, while as you enter the Temple Mount through one of these gates, you will see that there's Muslim, Palestinian, let's call them security guards, standing there, and they are the people of the so-called Waqf. The Waqf is an endowment, let's call it an organization, that controls the holy sites and therefore also the Temple Mount. They control these sites from a religious point of view. Hello. We have two nice young Palestinian boys here. How are you? You speak English or not? No English. Okay. Only Arabic. Palestine, okay. Of course, for them this is Palestine. Let's not forget, as I said before, that this part of Jerusalem, the entire Old City, was part of Jordan until 1967. And before 1948, what was Israel's independence war, before 1948, it was part of the British Empire. It was part of the British Mandate. And before the First World War, it was simply part of the Ottoman Empire, of course. All right. The fact that we're still under the Corona mandate means that tourists cannot enter Israel. If they do, they have to go into quarantine for about a week. And of course, anybody who wants to come here for 2 weeks will not spend the whole week in quarantine. By the way, these gentlemen here, this guy and this guy, they're guarding the exit of the Western Wall tunnels, which is a wonderful, wonderful tour that you can take. This, I will actually make another video of that for another tour. But you can enter right at the Western Wall Plaza, and you can go underground in the tunnel. You can run along the Western Wall under the earth, and you will come out here. And here is actually the beginning of the Via Dolorosa. The Via Dolorosa is, of course, the way of sorrows, the path that Jesus traditionally took as he was handed the cross by Pontius Pilate, and as he had to carry this cross to the site of his own crucifixion. I have to move away, there's a car coming. Whoops. It never ceases to amaze me why cars are allowed to even pass through these alleys here. And then we have these little tractors. This is, by the way, how building materials or other products for the shops or even garbage is being moved in and out of the city. Okay, so back to the Via Dolorosa. This is the first station of the Via Dolorosa. You can basically see right here this little round plaque. It says Roman numeral 1 in there. It shows the first station of the Via Dolorosa, whereas right here, I'll show it to you, whereas right here we have the second station of the Via Dolorosa, also shown by a round plaque with the Roman numeral 2. So what's the story of the Via Dolorosa? According to Christian tradition, very late Christian tradition, Jesus received his cross at the second station, and at the first station, back there, he was sentenced by Pontius Pilate. Now the story of the interesting story about the Via Dolorosa is that it is really a very late Christian tradition, probably from the Middle Ages. But of course we understand that the story of Jesus running around here in Jerusalem is from the Roman times, so 2,000 years ago. So we can understand that it's really just a tradition. There is no archaeological evidence showing us that this is really the route that Jesus took between his between the time he was seen by Pontius Pilate and between his crucifixion. And still, it's a tradition that many pilgrims follow. It's an important tradition, especially during Easter. You will have plenty of people who come here and pray at each one of these stations. And it's a beautiful sight to behold, and this is what makes Jerusalem such an important city, such a colorful, vibrant city where, believe it or not, people manage to live together peacefully, and everybody goes about his business. Christians and Muslims and Jews, everybody comes here to pray, or pilgrims come here to visit. So it's a wonderful place. Hello. How are you? We have the shopkeepers, just like us tour guides, waiting for tourists. Maybe, hopefully one day you guys will return. But in the meantime, we wait for better times. You see that many shops are just closed. You have to understand that during normal times, this is really not the case. This is very much vibrant and open, even though we are not on the main alley of the old city or of the Muslim quarter. This is still at least open, these shops, and vibrant, and people invite you in. Of course, they want you to buy stuff. It's always recommended to bargain, negotiate a little bit with these shopkeepers here. It's a fun thing to do. And here and there you can even catch a little bit of a good deal if your negotiating skills are good enough. All right, we are still at the Muslim quarter, and we're still walking around on the Via Dolorosa. We will soon turn left, and then we'll make a quick right, staying on the Via Dolorosa and making our way towards the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. We're standing here at the entrance of the Austrian Hospice, which is also probably the topic of a whole nother video. I promise that I will take you in there as well. But the Austrian Hospice is my personal favorite spot here in the city. They have the Café Trieste, which is a real Viennese cafe, an Austrian cafe, with a wonderful Sachertorte and Apfelstrudel. So wonderful place. Very nice people. And of course, up here, you will have a beautiful view from the rooftop of the Austrian Hospice. Okay, so this is another video. All right, we have more Israeli policemen guarding the area here. We have my friend Basti here. He's inside. This is his restaurant. He just opened recently because during Corona there was nothing going on, so he closed for most of these of the past year and a half. And we are passing through a little bit of the market area. You can see they're selling here mostly souvenirs for tourists, because after all, this is the Via Dolorosa, so this is the regular route that tourists take. You can take a look at these nice t-shirts here. What do they say? They say Palestine, I love Palestine. So this is also some sort of political statement, but many times at the same shops they sell t-shirts that say I love Israel and IDF, like Israeli army. So they sell whatever makes money. Abu Ahmad, by the way, is a very tasty falafel and hummus place. So if you're here walking along the Via Dolorosa, I highly recommend eating here or eating at the next place that I'm going to show you, which is Abu Shukri hummus restaurant. And if some of you guys who have visited Jerusalem with me on my tours, if you have done a whole day tour, you remember that we went to Abu Shukri because it has a lot of space and excellent hummus. Let's see if we can take a quick look inside. You see here, this is the Abu Shukri restaurant, newly renovated. They took advantage of the Corona downtime, and they renovated the whole place. Beautiful, nice people, and of course excellent hummus. Okay, Abu Shukri restaurant. But we're continuing here on the Via Dolorosa, and we have reached by now the 5th station. We actually skipped over, or I didn't mention the 3rd and the 4th station, which is just over there. We just passed it, next to where the policemen were standing. So just for completeness sake, the 3rd station is where Jesus tripped for the first time. The 4th station is where Mary held her son Jesus in her arms. And then we have here the 5th station, and here it is said that Jesus was exhausted from carrying the cross, that he had to lean on the wall, and that actually he leaned right here on this wall, and that this is sort of his handprint, let's call it. Is it really his handprint, or is there the form of a hand in here? Because over the years, many people come and touch the limestone, which is a soft stone, so it's sort of carved out, who knows. But this is the tradition, and as our beloved teacher in our tour guide course said, why spoil a good story with facts? If it's a nice story, stick with it. We have more beautiful souvenirs here. Hello, sir. How are you? When will tourists come back? Do we know? We don't know. We hope soon. But when you come here to the Via Dolorosa, you can see they sell beautiful carvings out of olive wood. You have Christian scenes, Jesus figures, you have camels. This is the Middle East after all. Little crosses. Okay. And what is your name, sir? David. David. So come to David and buy from him. He's a very nice man. Have a nice day, sir. All right, we continue. We're still on the Via Dolorosa. It's actually quite sad to see that everything is so empty here. As I mentioned a couple of times already, this is usually pretty full, especially during holidays. You're going to have tons of people, tons of pilgrims coming through these narrow alleys, crossing all sorts of traffic jams, and coming to visit these holy sites here in the city of Jerusalem. So what have you guys been up to during the Corona time? Which sites have you been able to visit, if any? Wherever you are, in Europe or in America, let me know. Write me a comment. Let me know how travels, if at all, are being managed during these past year and a half. We have reached the 6th station of the Via Dolorosa, right here. The plaque again. I remind you, each station has one of these plaques. The story here, the 6th station, or the tradition, says that Veronica took her veil and wiped off the sweat from Jesus' face, and that a facsimile, a copy of his facial features, remained on the veil. Okay, so that is the story on the 6th station. Hello, sirs. How are you? Hello. And if you hear me panting a little bit, it's because I'm walking up these stairs. Not having guided for such a long time means that I may be not in shape anymore. So once you come back and visit Israel, you should book me as a tour guide so that I can be in shape again. These guys are carrying some iron rods, so it means that there's some construction going on in the old city as well. It is strictly regulated because, as I said before, once you dig underneath the old city, you're bound to find something that is of archaeological value. And if you do, at least theoretically, you have to immediately call the Antiquities Authority to let them see what you have discovered there. All right. Whew. Thankfully, we have reached the top of the stairs. So we came up from over there. We walked up the hill, let's call it, and we have reached station number 7. This is the spot where Jesus tripped for the second time. And we have this little carving here. Is it wood or metal or stone? I don't know. It shows the scene that I'm talking about. We shall continue towards the 9th station. We're skipping the 8th station, which is just up this little alley here on the left, hello, on the left side. We're going to skip it because there's just a plaque and nothing much else to see. The story goes and says, or the tradition says, that on the 8th station, Jesus saw the women of the city of Jerusalem, and that he saw them crying, and he told them, don't cry for me, cry for yourselves and cry for your city, as your city will be destroyed soon. So Jesus prophesied, is that a word? Prophesied or prophesied, predicted that the city of Jerusalem will be destroyed. And of course, right he was, because in the year 70 AD, the Romans came and destroyed the city of Jerusalem. We are walking through this market, and you can see they sell more than just souvenirs. They sell clothing, they sell food, they sell, yes, souvenirs, but more clothing. They sell electronics. Okay, so this is basically like one big department store. One thing that you guys back home might be familiar with is halva. Very tasty, very sweet. Of course, I have a little bit of a belly, so I should not eat these things. But halva is made out of sesame paste. It's called tahini sauce, which some of you might know. So tahini sauce mixed with honey in a certain way. This is how you create halva. And you can eat halva either by itself or by spreading it on some bread or on a pita. We're turning to the right here, and we will go towards the 9th station. We're leaving the market alley, and we will be heading towards the Church of the Holy Sepulcher, which was built in the 5th century AD over the site, which is traditionally believed to be the site where Jesus was crucified and then also buried. 3 days after which, of course, according to traditional Christian tradition, he resurrected, after which he spent 40 days roaming around the country, after which he ascended to heaven from the highest point on the Mount of Olives. So remember that right turn that we took? By doing that, we left the Muslim quarter and we have accessed the Christian quarter, which we're in right now. And almost immediately, we can understand that it's a little bit more quiet, less busy, simply because we have left the busy market street and we have entered, let's say, more of a regular living neighborhood. We will enter the roof of the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. We will pass 2 Ethiopian chapels, and then we will enter actually we'll stand outside of the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. Before we go into the roof, or enter the roof area, I want to show you, this is the 9th station of the cross. This is, according to tradition, where Jesus fell or tripped for the 3rd time. Now you will note that there's a big wooden cross here. This is something that pilgrims who, as I mentioned before, who come and walk along the Via Dolorosa, they sometimes carry these wooden crosses in order to sort of feel like Jesus did when he walked this path, this route, and carried the cross. And you can see this is something. It's not too heavy, but heavy enough if you have to carry it here in the heat of August, and schlep it, carry it through the alleys here. So it's heavy enough. Now, why is it here? Because once you enter the compound of the Church of the Holy Sepulcher, you're not allowed to bring these big wooden crosses in. Okay? Before we enter the roof of the compound of the Church of the Holy Sepulcher, I want to show you here, just behind me, it says Queen Helen Church Coptic Orthodox. So you might wonder, who are the Copts? The Coptic Christians are Egyptian Christians. They are Orthodox Christians, just like there is Greek Orthodox and Russian Orthodox, I don't know, Serbian Orthodox, and so forth. The Ethiopians are also Orthodox. So there's a whole bunch of denominations or subgroups within the Orthodox Christian world, and the Copts are one of them. We're located on the roof of the Armenian chapel that is part of the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. This roof area is called Deir el Sultan, which is an Arabic term, which means the monastery of the Sultan. Now, the interesting story about this place is that it used to belong, or actually still legally belongs, to the Coptic Church. Remember the Copts that I just mentioned? And that they leased it to the monks of the Ethiopian Church. And the story goes that in the 1970s, the Ethiopians one day decided to take possession of this entire area, and they just changed the locks of that little village that is here behind me. And I'm going to see if I can show you at least the entrance alley. But you see this area here? These are little cells, let's call them, little rooms where the Ethiopian monks live in. So they basically took possession of this area, changed the locks, and told the owners, the Copts, good luck getting us out of here. And it's been a contested issue ever since. Okay, so we can see here there's some Ethiopian people. Hello, hello.
Hi.
How are you? Good. How are you, sir? You see? So, where is he? There he is. Okay, so it's quite interesting to see Ethiopian people. And I talked to them once. They actually do come directly, obviously, from Ethiopia as monks. And once they come here, they will never leave again. And they live in this area over here. Okay, so I don't know how much of it you can see, but there's a little entrance, and then there's a little mazed village there, a little village with alleyways. So they live in very, very basic conditions, and they stay here forever until the day they die. They never go back to Ethiopia to live there again. I guess they go and visit every once in a while, but once they come to serve here in their church, they stay here, or this is their primary residence forever. Okay, we have another Ethiopian monk here. Okay, so it's quite amazing to see the different denominations that roam around the city of Jerusalem. What was this monastery area previously? And I'm talking way before. We can see here, these are called elbow capitals. You know, these are capitals that don't go all the way to the floor. They start sort of in the middle of the wall, and this is typical Crusader architecture. So we can understand that whatever the function of the structure was, it was definitely a Crusader structure that stood here. And eventually, as I said before, the Copts and then the Ethiopians took possession of it. I want to take you now inside two small Ethiopian chapels, at the end of which we will come out at the plaza in front of the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. Hello, sir. How are you? Hello. I'm going to be a little bit quiet. So I don't want to be too loud. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but this is one of two chapels that belong to the Ethiopian Church. And also here we can clearly see the structure is from the Crusader period. What I always do when I pass here is that I take my coins and just leave them here as a donation. Okay, that's my little contribution for always passing through here. Of course, candles are lit in order to commemorate the dead. So this was one little chapel. And then we're going down here, descending into a second Ethiopian chapel. You see that? Beautiful. And the Ethiopian Orthodox prayer service is known to be extremely long. I heard it's sometimes up to 3.5 hours long, which takes a lot of effort and energy. So kudos to them. And many times when I pass here with my groups, you can see groups of Ethiopian, mostly monks, praying here in this little chapel. And behind me we have this gentleman watching this place. Okay. Shalom. Wait. So we got some Israeli policemen here, whatever they're doing here. And then we have finally reached the plaza. Now I can speak a little bit louder again. We have reached the plaza in front of the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. So the Church of the Holy Sepulcher, of course, as I mentioned before, is the church that was built over the site over here, which is Golgotha, or the Calvary, which is the place where Jesus was crucified. And it is also the church that was built in the 5th century, that was built sort of over here, somewhere over there, built over the site where Jesus was put into his tomb. Okay, so on this tour we will not go into the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. That's going to be another video tour. We're going to just talk about it from the outside. So the story of this church is that it was built in the 5th century. The story goes that the Byzantine queen Helena was given the mission, the order by her son Constantine, to come to the Holy Land and to erect churches over all the Christian holy sites. So this tradition, the story goes and says that Helena came here and asked the local Christians where Jesus was buried, and they told her right here behind me. Problem was that the Romans, who of course were pagans, had built a temple, a pagan temple, right on top of the site where Jesus had been buried. So what Queen Helena, who herself was a Christian, had done, she razed the Roman temple. She just let it be destroyed, and she built a big, huge basilica, a big church on top of that site. Okay, so that church, or in some way or another, what is left of that church is what we see behind me here. Originally, the church was about twice as large as what we see here today, and the entrance was not on this side that we see here, but on the other side, right? Only since the Crusader period, the entrance has been switched to this side over here, and you can clearly see that these arches and the entire decoration here of the entrance is clearly Crusader architecture and Crusader decoration, which means that this is who built it, the Crusaders in this instance. What's inside? Inside are the last 5 stations of the Via Dolorosa. Station 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. I'll just count them up again. So station 10 is actually behind this window here. It's called the Chapel of the Franks. So station 10 is where the Romans took off the clothing of Jesus and divided it and auctioned it off. And then on the hill of Golgotha, which is sort of beyond or behind this chapel here. On the hill of Golgotha, we have station number 11, which is the site where Jesus was nailed to the cross. And then we have station number 12, which is the most important station up there. This is where Jesus died on the cross. Station number 13, right next to it, is where Jesus held the dead body of her son Jesus in her hand, or in her arms, and where she cried and moaned over him. And then station number 14, which is on the other side, like sort of behind here. This is where Jesus was put in his tomb. And we have a little structure there, not so little, but compared to the rest of the church is smaller. It's a small structure called the edicula, a little hut, let's call it, made out of stone. And that is built or has been erected on top of the tomb of Jesus. So there you have it, but the holiest site for Christianity, for most Christians. And during normal times, especially during Christian holidays and Easter, this is where pilgrims come. And I'm talking about thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands to come to pay homage here to this site. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed this virtual tour of Jerusalem. Subscribe to my channel. Like this video. I will put up some interesting links in the first comment to this video. And look out for some more videos that I'm going to post, me guiding throughout the alleys of this wonderful city of Jerusalem. Feel free to visit my website, which is tourguide-israel.com. I guide in English, I guide in German. Both are my mother tongues, my mother language. And whenever Corona is over, I'll be more than glad to show you more of this beautiful city. And even we did a half-hour tour or something like that, 45 minutes tour right now together. I do full-day tours. We go much deeper, much more detail. This was all just an introduction. There's much, much more to the city of Jerusalem. Folks, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for watching this video. Shalom from Israel. And be blessed. See you soon. Bye-bye.